In August of 1590, Governor John White waded onto the shores of Roanoke Island, expecting to reunite with over 100 men, women, and children. Instead, he found an empty fortress. There were no bodies, no burned buildings, and no signs of a struggle. The settlers had completely disappeared. They left only 3 letters carved in the settlement's wooden palisades, C-R-O, and a single word on a nearby tree, Croatoan. For the next 4 centuries, that silence spawned America's oldest unsolved mystery. In the absence of physical evidence, the vacuum was filled by wild folklore, ranging from paranormal abductions to elaborate hoaxes involving forged messages on rocks. Early investigations almost universally assumed the colony met a singular, uniform end. Researchers spent centuries hunting for a sudden massacre or a desperate, doomed voyage at sea. The evidence of their survival has always existed. Historians simply lacked the multidisciplinary scientific tools required to read it. To understand the forces that moved the colony, we have to look toward the Blackwater River in Virginia. Here, ancient bald cypress trees act as living recorders of historical climate data. This cross-section of a tree trunk functions as an environmental database. Through dendrochronology, researchers read tree rings to reveal historical rainfall. Wide rings mean wet years. Narrow rings mean dry ones. Examining bands from the late 1500s, climatologists found a startling anomaly. 1587 to 1589 marked the most extreme drought this region experienced in 800 years. This mega-drought triggered a catastrophic domino effect. Crops failed. Starvation became imminent. The colonists, desperate for resources, eventually saw their fragile alliances with the local Native American tribes fracture under the pressure. A brutal climate anomaly forced an evacuation. Survival required the colonists to leave the island behind. This 1585 watercolor map by John White was treated as a standard navigational document for centuries, but in 2012, British museum researchers using advanced lighting identified a tiny intentional paper patch glued over a specific section of the North Carolina mainland. Beneath that patch was the distinct symbol of a fort. It was located exactly 50 miles inland, along Salmon Creek, matching historical accounts of where the colonists had discussed moving before White originally sailed back to England. After sitting unnoticed in an archive for 4 centuries, this hidden mark gave archaeologists concrete geographic coordinates to start digging. Following the map's coordinates to Bertie County, researchers established 2 excavation areas, Site X and Site Y. Using ground-penetrating radar to identify anomalies beneath the surface, teams began painstakingly sifting through the soil. Deep in the dirt, they unearthed undeniable traces of the late 16th century, fragments of Surrey, Hampshire borderware ceramics. The importance of these pieces lies in their function. As objects used for preparing and storing food, they confirm that English families lived here long-term. This physical evidence at Site Y validates both the tree ring data and the hidden map. The Roanoke colony successfully relocated. Faced with extreme starvation, the Roanoke colony fractured. A small group migrated south to Croatoan Island to wait for John White's return, while the majority pushed 50 miles inland along the Chowan River. 2 decades later, the English settlers at Jamestown recorded persistent rumors from local tribes about white, fair-haired people who could read English, living peacefully in the inland territories. The oral histories of the modern Lumbee and Croatoan tribes maintain that the colonists were absorbed into their communities. These accounts align with genetic traits and historical surnames found on the original Roanoke roster. To survive an unforgiving environment, the settlers sought refuge with friendly Native American tribes. Over generations, they intermarried and fully assimilated into Indigenous culture. Historians spent centuries searching for a perfectly preserved, abandoned English village. That bias blinded early investigators to the reality of human adaptation. The lost colony was never actually lost. They simply stopped being English colonists and became something new in order to survive.